younger DC homie that I knew from the street. You know, we was dealing with each other. You know, I watched him grow up. So I pulled him in the cell and asked him, you know, what's up with him about, what's up with you talking behind my back, the husband about me. So he didn't stand on it. He don't be talking about me, this, that, and the third. So I told him, all right, since you ain't standing on it, I'm gonna let it go. But if I hear you, you know, the homies tell me that you still talking to God's about me, I ain't letting it go the next time. Probably about 2 weeks go past, you know, more homies coming to me like, man, dude, you know, he's talking about you behind your back. So, you know, the gossip kept going on. So I went to go get a knife.
Crime Talk 369, prison stories on the line, New York rhythm in the spine. If you did it or you didn't, you gon' feel it in this rhyme.
What do you think about the movies that be showing prison life? What do you think they get right and what did they get wrong?
In movies, I feel like, far as like, you know, the violence and stuff in the movies that go on in, you know, in jail and the movies, I feel like, you know, that's some of the things that they do get right. Violence take place. But I must say, like, sometimes movies fabricate the whole, you know, SA situation, you know, because in jail in real life, it's more so if that's what you like and that's what you indulge into, that's what you do. You know what I'm saying? So it never had to be a situation where a person gets their manhood taken. You know, it's either that's what you like from my experience, that's what you like, then that's what you want. If not, then that's, you know, none of that's going on. So I feel like in the movies, they fabricate that a little bit.
I get a lot of viewers that they like to joke around with "Don't drop the soap" and they like to joke around with the booty bandits.
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
You definitely got booty bandits though. I'm not gonna say that you don't got some, but you know, from my experience, it's rare. But you do have older guys that been locked up, you know, since the 90s and 80s that I have heard, you know, indulged in that type of activity. But for the most part, I've never seen it, you know.
So they ain't got no Felice Johnsons just walking around every prison.
Nah.
In the jail and the prison I was at, most men they bathe with their boxers on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Keep your boxers on, wash like that.
Why do most people get targeted in prison?
Ben, you know, your paperwork ain't right. You know, you ratted on somebody, you know, or you know, you did something to it. Your charge got to do with something. You dealing with a kid, you know, or you steal. You don't pay your debts, things like that. You know, will have people, you know, on you.
I got a couple of older gentlemen that watch as viewers. They watch this, and
Right.
they always ask me how they treat older inmates inside.
Older inmates get treated, you know, pretty good, you know, with respect, you know, being as though that they had been down the path before us, especially if they honorable dudes, you know, they get treated with respect, you know what I mean? Dudes respect them because age is, you know, is wisdom and knowledge, you know what I'm saying? So them older guys, they've been through more than we've been through, you know, they've been our age before we never been their age. So that goes to say they get treated with respect unless you just not an honorable dude.
You know, there's always that one old timer. Everybody calls him OG, and he knows everything. In every single prison or jail.
Yep, every jail. There's always a respected older homie.
Can somebody come in there neutral as a civilian, be safe?
Yeah, I done seen dudes coming in. They pretty much just on they type of time. You know, they don't want to indulge in, you know, the whole car things. They even, you know, I done seen some dudes just be neutral and be on, you know, Muslim time. Some dudes sit at the, you know, the Christian table, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to be affiliated with the prison politics, should I say.
Have you seen somebody come in there and do things completely wrong? They're getting checked, they're getting extorted. They just do prison completely wrong.
Yeah, I done seen dudes coming there and, you know, don't have any jail etiquettes, you know. They come in there, don't abide by, you know, prison rules. Come in there, you know, steal, get things from people on credit, don't pay their bills, and things go all bad for them. You know, they get ran up, sent to protective custody, get beat up, stabbed, stuff like that.
You know, most inmates have a hustle. Did you have a hustle in there?
Absolutely, yeah. I messed around with the suboxone strips. Yeah, I was selling suboxone strips in there.
You were running it up.
Absolutely.
I already know.
Yeah.
You know, something like that out here, they go for maybe $5, and there I seen them go for like 300.
300, yeah.
Have you ever had a good day in prison? Has there ever been a good day?
I wouldn't say good day. I say some days was better than others because I made the best out of my situation. But I feel like no day in prison is good. You know, you just make the best out your situation. So, you know, some days was better than others.
Do you think jail and prison made you more into a man?
Yeah, jail definitely installed morals and principles because before going to prison, I didn't have like the respect that I have now. Like, you know, I didn't respect man. You know, I was so young I didn't respect man. So jail, you know, taught me, you know, how to, you know, mind my business, how to respect man, how, you know, how to have manners, you know how to say excuse me. You know, you don't always gotta be just a tough guy all the time. You know what I mean? Man, respect man. So it definitely taught me that.
Jail and prison can turn a boy into a man. It really can.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you experienced some lockdowns. What do you do during the lockdown?
Dang, man, I don't even like to think about it, man. Them lockdowns, man, you know, read books, magazines, even get high, work out, you know, just make the best of your situation, you know, cook, you know, make meals, you and your celly, stuff like that.
Did you ever see somebody in there that was just feared? Like nobody messed with him? Like he just had a reputation?
Absolutely. I seen a lot of them type of guys, you know, dudes that been down for a while, you know, even some younger guys, you know, coming in, you know, reputation, known for stabbing or, you know, real good with their hands, and dudes just, you know, feared them and respected them.
Do you got any stories that stick out?
Yeah, so it was this one time, you know, I was in Cumberland federal facility, and it was this dude from Connecticut.
That's where I'm at right now.
Are you in Cumberland?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I know it's like a little town down there.
Yeah, yep. I was in the feds in Cumberland. Yep. But it was a dude from Connecticut. And you know, people were saying, you know, in the feds you're supposed to get your paperwork. You know, I think they give you about, depending what car you in, you got a certain amount of time to get your paperwork. And this dude, you know, was procrastinating on getting his paperwork. So, you know, it was, you know, talks going around saying that they think dude not right because he taking so long to get his paperwork. You know, it don't take long to get your paperwork. You know, you reach out to your lawyer or you get your family to, you know, and your paperwork will be coming in. So he was there already for probably about 5-6 months and still didn't get his paperwork. Mind you, that has nothing to do with us. You know, we from DC, but I had a homie named Real. He grew up boxing too, you know what I'm saying? And me and him was real close. You know, we both like to fight a lot. So we was aware that the dude was procrastinating on his paperwork. So me and Real came up with the idea. We said we was gonna rob him because the dude had a store. He was running the store. So me and my man Real said, man, you know, we're gonna rob him in the morning. So when the doors popped at 6:45 in the morning, me and my man Real slid up in his cell. He had his celly was a Tango Blast. So we slid up in his cell, you know, woke him up, like, you know, unlock, you know, in the feds, some dudes who scared, they put the lock on their locker. You know what I'm saying? So we was telling him to unlock his locker. So he was acting like he was trying to unlock it, but he really wasn't. So my man Real like, man, hurry up and unlock it. He's still taking all day to unlock it. So his celly was a Tango Blast dude. He was acting like he was about to get off the top bunk. So I told him, you better not jump down. So his celly just sat right there on the top bunk. So the dude from Connecticut still procrastinating on opening his locker. So my man Real hit him. Boom. I hit him. Boom. We in there crushing him. Boom. So he finally tell us the code to his locker. We take all his food. So when we do that, you know, Connecticut was with like New York. They had like a thing going on they called like a tri-state area. You know what I'm saying? So the New York dudes was politicking, you know, they wanted us to give him his food back. But we was like, nah, we ain't giving it back. You know, we stand on what we did. You know, our robbery is final. So the New York dudes came up with, being as though he didn't fight back for his food, you know, he didn't never get his paperwork. The New York dudes end up running them up, sending them to PC. Yeah, so that was one of my crazy stories in there.
Yeah, you know, when something happens, it doesn't matter if you outnumbered or not. You got to stand on business.
You got to stand on business. If you don't, you know, fight for yourself, nobody else gonna fight for you.
That's the exact thing I was about to say. That's the exact thing I was about to say. Yeah. You got any other stories to stick out?
Yeah, I got another story. A younger dude, you know, was going around, you know, gossiping. gossiping is like a no-no in jail. He was, smiling in my face, eating meals with me. But a couple of my DC homies was telling me, he was talking behind my back, So I took that as disrespect because, you smiling in my face, dealing with me. It was a younger DC homie that I knew from the streets. We was dealing with each other. I watched them grow up. We was dealing with each other. Eating meals together. Watching the games together, stuff like that. A couple of the DC homies was telling me like, he talking behind my back. And in jail, gossiping is that's a no go. That don't fly in there. So I pulled him in the cell and asked him, what's up with him about what's up with you talking behind my back and gossiping about me. So he didn't stand on it. He don't be talking about me, this, that, and the third. So I told him, all right, since you ain't standing on it, I'm gonna let it go. But if I hear you, if the homies tell me that you still talking to gossiping about me, I ain't letting it go the next time. So that was that. So probably about 2 weeks go past, more homies coming to me like, man, dude, be talking about you behind your back. So, the gossiping kept going on. So I went to go get a knife from one of my homies. So he was out there on the tin, eating his nacho bowl, watching the basketball game. So I tucked the knife in my dip. See, I didn't really want to stab him because I was on my way home in probably about 7 or 8 months at the time. You know what I mean? So, you stab a dude, that can, hold you back from going home and have you fighting another case. So my reason for having a knife was just to protect myself because I know he walk around with a knife. So he was sitting right there watching the basketball game, eating his nacho. I came behind him, cracked him on the jaw, bow, knocked him out the chair. He got up and started running from me. I chased him down with the knife. He ran all the way to his cell. He ran in the cell. He was cellies with another one of our DC homies. So when he ran to his cell, the DC homie was in there, which is a celly, and the dude from Pittsburgh. They was in there, rap. You know how dudes be rapping, in the cell to instrumental beats and stuff like that. They was in there doing that. So he ran in there trying to get the knife from his celly. He telling his celly, like, holding his jaw, like, let me see the knife, let me see the knife. So his celly told him, like, basically backed up, like, I ain't giving you nothing. Basically, his celly was like, I'm not condoning and, gossiping about somebody and you running right here to get a knife when you couldn't stand on what you was doing. And shout out to my man Pepe. That's his celly, my man to this day. Shout out to Pepe. But yeah, he ran in the cell. I came to the cell. He tried to come out the cell like he was gonna come out. I swung the knife and hit him in his shoulder. The CO came, maced me. I dropped the knife. We went to the hole. His jaw was broke. So we was in the hole. Dudes was telling me he was on the other side. They had him on like a liquid diet, drinking in shores and stuff like that because his jaw was wide up.
Yeah, you can't be in there talking about people. It's gonna come back.
Absolutely not.
It will come back.
Definitely.
It gets real in there real fast.
Definitely get real. Morals and principles is everything in there.
How did the COs treat you in there?
When I was in Cumberland, the COs pretty much, with respect. They ain't do too much, disrespectful things. Even though they would, run down on the cell sometimes. When you and your homies in there may be smoking or drinking in there, they'll run down. Try to get the contraband and stuff like that. But when I was in West Virginia in McDowell, the COs there, they didn't like the DMV car. They had a thing towards the DMV car. I guess they felt as though like we thought we was too tough. A lot of our homies was trying to extort people. We had a reputation for stabbing and stuff like that. So they treated us a little differently than they treated other inmates when I was in West Virginia.
You ever see people gambling and stuff like that?
Yeah, I seen, I had a lot of homies who gamble, whether it's spades, whether it's dice, whether it's sports betting. Yeah, it's a lot of gambling that go on.
Now, they always say that's one of the worst things you can do in there. Did you ever see it go wrong?
Yeah, I done seen dudes, betting on a ticket, hit the ticket. Dude don't want to pay him. Dude not trying to give him his stamps. Fight may break out or dude might get stabbed, because he playing with the money. I just seen a lot of that go on.
I had an OG tell me, if you with somebody, you better leave them. Did you ever see people like, their spouses leave them in there? Just,
yeah, that happened to me actually. I had a girlfriend when I came in. She stayed with me for probably about 6 months until my bid. blocked the jail call, you know, started dealing with somebody else, you know, stop visiting.
Don't tell me, did she run off with your Cash App?
Absolutely. I done had somebody run off with a Cash App with me when I was up in Marlboro. Had them in control of the Cash App, stopped answering the phone, kept the money, spent the money.
For people that don't know, if you're watching this, usually when you're hustling inside, you got to send the money to somebody on the outside. You got to have trust for that person.
Absolutely.
There's people that will run off with your money.
Yeah, you got to have a trustworthy person.
Go ahead and describe the release day you getting out. What was it like?
Oh man, the release day, I couldn't even sleep that night. That morning, you know, they transported me to a bus station, you know, gave me a bus ticket, gave me my money off my account, gave me an extra $50. You know, the bus didn't come all the way to the next day, so I was just stuck in West Virginia waiting for the bus to come the next day. You know what I'm saying? Then I got on the bus the next day. Well, waiting for that bus to come. It was a mall right there. I walked to the mall, bought me a phone, bought me some clothes, you know. Then I went to the halfway house in Baltimore. Stayed in the halfway house for quite some time. And ended up leaving the halfway house. But yeah, that first day out was everything.
Yeah, you know, it feels like you're being reborn.
Yeah, best feeling in the world.
I can't describe it, yo. I want that feeling again so bad, but I don't want to go through it again.
Nah, for real.
Yeah, you know, now what's for the future?
You know, staying focused, you know, focus on this boxing thing, you know what I'm saying? Just got offered a contract to go pro. So that's what I've been doing since I've been home, you know, focus on boxing, man. You know, trying to take my talent serious and don't just be another lost talent.
Yeah, you know, if people, you know, they love the story, can they find you on TikTok or Instagram?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram at The Real TO, and real is spelled REEL. So it's DAREEL T.O, The Real TO. I got fights on YouTube. You can look me up on YouTube under Rashad Powell. A lot of my boxing stuff is on YouTube and on my Instagram.
So what advice would you give to the your younger self?
The advice I give to my younger self is always be a thinking man. You know, calculate your steps. You know, value your family, cherish your family. You know, and you know, always, you know, just think situations out. You know what I mean? Don't always be so fast to react. You know, don't move off emotions. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to, you know, maintain your composure in situations. You know, and always keep your head above water.
I got one more question. Is prison ever worth it?
Nah, prison never worth it. Only time prison is worth it is if somebody do something to your family. You know, somebody disrespect, you know, what you stand for, or, you know, put your family in harm's way. Situations like that, then I say prison is worth it. But other than that, nothing is worth going to prison.
I thank you for coming on here and sharing your story.
Definitely, anytime.
You know, a lot of people can watch this and they can learn from our mistakes.
Bye.
Damn, nigga dipped out. What the hell? Damn. Yo, I thought you dipped out. I was like, thank you for. He's like, boom. I was damn.
Yeah, I was getting a call.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Hopefully somebody can watch it and learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely, that's all it's about.
Yeah. But yeah, I thank you, man.
I thank you too, man.